Sabir. Today in our hot seat is John Mediana. He's the co-founder. He's the founder and CEO of Executive Brand Growth, and the agency solely focused on humanizing companies by building the personal brand of their CEOs and executive leaders in today's digital era. John has spent over 15 years behind a camera, a computer, and some of the largest influencers in the world. John has a very refreshing perspective when it comes to building the digital footprint of leaders behind today's brands. It's all about human to human connectivity. The future of business is personal. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sabir. Great to be on your show. Super excited to be here.
So today we will be tackling the topic of executive branding. So just to kind of give you context, John, I've had very talented influencers on the show. For example, Brittany Crystal, she talked about, and she's very well known in the space. She talked about personal branding, right? Yeah. I've had Christina, Fully Raw Christina, who actually built her personality and her brand and her companies and content and everything that she does, all completely digital, right? But today's topic is not on necessarily personal branding. It's about being an executive, being a director, a manager, a VP, a CEO, C-level executive, board of directors, or even public speakers, I guess. How do you go about building your brand as an executive, which has its own set of challenges, and that's an amazing topic. I wanted to kind of tackle it with you today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, John, what is executive branding?
Yeah, I mean, we could really have conversation around executive branding and what it is and what it's not. I like to think of executive branding as just like reputation management, really. Everyone has a personal brand. If you are breathing, if you're alive, if you're on planet Earth, you have a brand, right? And some people call that the personal brand. But when it comes to executive branding, it's about your executive leadership. It's about how your reputation is managed, not only digitally, but in person. The relationships that you build, your network, your employees, your leadership team. You carry a brand. Everybody has a brand. Everybody has a reputation. And if you're an executive, you carry that brand and reputation every single day. Whether you like that you have a brand or not, you have a brand. Trust me. People absolutely know your brand, and they're familiar with your brand that are in proximity to you. And you got to focus it and understand, like, okay, I have a brand, an executive brand, and it is my reputation. And how do I nurture that? How do I continue to build that brand up in today's world?
Yeah, one of the challenges, and I've been an executive. I've actually climbed the corporate ladder of being a manager, supervisor, VP, director, SVP, EVP, C-level executive. I've done all of those things. When you are in the mix of things, when you are running these companies, right, or you're running these brands, right, product brands and company brands, you almost don't even think about yourself at all. You don't.
You really don't.
You, it's like, let's say if I work for Pepsi, right, as an example. If I work for Pepsi, it's everything about Pepsi, not necessarily. I don't see myself doing anything. So how do I distinguish myself from that? Like the employer that I have, or even in your case, executive brand growth as a company versus John Mediana as a talent.
Right? Yeah.
Those are two different things. What are your thoughts on that? How do I navigate that? And as a CEO and executive, do I need my own social media?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and hope today we could tackle that question for sure. When I think about, being an executive, right, being a leader, being a C-suite person, and you talked a little bit about that. And first of all, you have an amazing accomplishments, by the way. So, having to climb that ladder and really be in that executive position in C-suite, it is a feat, right, to accomplish. And I talk to a lot of executives, CEOs, CTOs, and a lot of C-suite people every single day. And their biggest thing is like, John, I'm just so focused on the work, right? I'm so focused on the work that I do. I get up, I get excited about the work I do. And I don't really like, is personal branding really a thing? Do I need to focus on that at all? Like, I don't even like social media. I'm not a social media techie type of person. Like, does it really matter for me to be online? Can I just focus on the work to be done here in my company and the team that I'm leading every single day? Because that's just one other thing to think about, right? That's just one other thing to put on my busy calendar to think about, being on social and all that stuff. And let me tell you, and this is the conversation I do have every single day with clients and executives all the time. Is like, absolutely, yeah, your work is so important. The work, that the energy and time and just precision and thought leadership that you put into the work that you do at your company is really, really important. Right? That's why we wake up every single day. And that's why you're a leader in your field, in your industry, and in your corporation, in your company, whether you're leading, a team of 5 or a team of 50 or a team of 500, right? Your position and your skill set and your job is the work that you do. And let me just tell you, no better way can you continue to grow that passion than being online and actually showcasing the work that you do. You are a leader in your space, and people need to see your leadership in action, right? Because you are so passionate. You have a definite why, right? I haven't talked to one executive or one leader that doesn't have a why that's driving what they do every single day, whether they're working for, Pepsi, or working for Facebook, or working for all these big companies, or even smaller companies. They're running small businesses, probably. You know what I mean? They're the founder and CEO of small businesses and cities and all that stuff. And the thing is, like, what I've learned and why I love working with CEOs and love working with founders and love working with executives is because they are attached to the purpose of the work, right? And the thing is, we could get caught up in that purpose every day and like, I just want to focus on the work. I just want to focus on the work. But your job really is, as a leader, is to continue to provide vision and where we're going in the future. What's the future of work look like for your company and your industry? And, you got to ask yourself, well, if I'm doing the work, right, and I do I need to be on social media or all these things? I'm like, you don't have to be on social media, but this is the digital currency of today. Social media is the currency of attention, of continue to spread the vision and mission of your work in the company that you're leading, right? So it would be almost like a dissatisfaction. It would be a tragedy if you didn't understand that today's world, the currency is digital, and that the future of business is personal. So showing your personality, showing your leadership, showcasing that is actually, it's working against you if you're just continuing just to focus on the work. Yeah, that's the joy. Maybe you get so much joy out of, and I'm sure everybody that is in that executive position does get some joy and purpose out of the work they do, or else they wouldn't be doing it. I've talked to so many executives, and like 95, 98% of them are in the position not because of just the pay, but because of the impact that they create in the work that they do. That's why they do the jobs that they do. And yeah, the rest, it is about money, right? Of course, like, I got to make a living, right? Doing what I do. But a lot of them that I talk to is definitely about the impact that they create in their work. So using social media is an amplification tool, right? It is a tool. It's nothing more than that, other than, hey, I want to showcase like the work that I do that I get excited about. If you got so super excited about something, wouldn't you want to tell the world about it and the impact that you're making, right? So I would say, like, yes, 1000%, be on social media, show up, and continue to show your leadership in this digital currency.
So one thing before I ask my next question or statement I'm going to make, first, I want to welcome for the first time our LinkedIn Live attendees. This is our very first broadcast where we are on LinkedIn Live. But prior to that, we have been on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. But this is our first episode on LinkedIn Live, so I'm very excited about that.
Woohoo!
Which brings me to the LinkedIn question, right?
Yeah.
I've been on so many profiles because I come across many talented presidents and CEOs and CMOs and stuff like that. And it's incredible even now. Like if I look at that executive's resume, it will be amazing. There will be a cover letter set up already on an incredible paper stock. It's going to be on, the resume is going to be amazing. When you go to the LinkedIn profile, it says president of XYZ company. There is no bullets. There is no description. It just says the person has been there for 23 years,
Yeah.
and nothing else, no other context. Maybe some of them might put their school that they went to.
Right.
That's it. And what are your thoughts on that? Like, to
Yeah.
me, that's an executive. I mean, that's a professional platform.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I believe, I'm right there with you. I definitely feel like I know where you're going with this, because it is almost a disservice if you haven't focused on actually just. It's like you're a chef and you're bringing this presentation and you're bringing this food, and you've been a chef for 25 years, right? But if you plate something and it's just like, what is it? Like, you show it to your guests that show up to your restaurant, and it's just like one piece on a plate, a small little tiny, thing on a plate. They're going to be like, have you really been doing this for 25 years? It's not showing your expertise. You're not showing or showcasing what you actually do. So today's world, the way people, function, and surprisingly enough, and, sometimes it's unfortunate because of social media and the attention span that we have now digressed into like a attention span less than of a goldfish, right? 3 seconds, right?
No, John. Correct number is 1.7 seconds.
1.7. Okay, so I need to be updated, right?
It's a swipe. One swipe. That's it. 1.7.
What, milliseconds, right? Milliseconds is, it feels, where someone can see your page, your profile, and just be like, okay, no, and they're going to skip and go to the next one. And today's world, we got to fight that attention. And you're like, John, why though? I don't care about that stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. You don't care. But the people that are following your story, your company, your brand, the people buying your products, they care. So you should care because your customers care, right? Your audience cares. And the thing is, if that's the first impression, right? And that's the thing about executive branding. What's the first impression? What's the first? I can tell you exactly, like, when I meet executives and CEOs, I can remember the most memorable moments. The first time I ever shook their hand or met them, or maybe they did a keynote and I was like, wow, this person is on fire. They're amazing. And that first impression is the thing that sticks in people's minds, right? So going to your LinkedIn page and looking at your banner, your profile photo, your bullets, it puts a first impression together that makes me feel like, oh, it builds likability, trust, and it builds authority, right? So if you're an executive, if you're a CEO, if you're a founder, if you're a keynote speaker, an author in today's world, you have to really focus on what is your first impression? What is your digital impression? Because once people go on that page and see your content, right, that's the first thing that they see is you say that you've been on, in the company, you've been a leader for over 20 something years, but we don't know anything else about that. And that is a tragedy, because today's currency, again, is digital. So I would love to see more executives and CEOs actually taking the time and actually saying, I care about this because my customer cares and my partner, my strategic partners care, right? When they see my LinkedIn and there's no profile banner up there, like, it kind of makes me wonder, like, if you're on Twitter and you have like one of those egg-shaped icons, I'm like, is this real? Is this a person that's actually a real person, right? Or is someone trying to be this person, right? So I would love to see, relevant content, relevant updated content, because that is where we are today, right? And keeping things relevant, keeping things alive, sharing your business with people and personalizing that on LinkedIn specifically is one of the keys to growing your brand and growing your executive leadership.
It's interesting. In your bio, I talked about about your background, about human connection, right?
Yeah.
To me, it's such a disconnect in 2021, right?
Yeah.
Let's reset the clock. If this was 1982, right? Or let's pay tribute to, what is it, 1984 or 82?
Yeah,
Steve Jobs with a hammer, right?
Mm-hmm.
If this was 1982, you would say, okay, you know what? I want to go and attend Harvard. I want to go and attend MIT. I want to Cornell, NYU. Why? Or Yale, right?
Yeah.
Because of the network.
Yep.
The people I'm going to meet there, I'm going to build a community that's going to be with me for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Right?
And the education and the network, that camaraderie.
You see the disconnect? We're in 2021. We have the tools where you don't have to pay. I mean, all those schools
Free.
are great, by the way. I love school, and I
Right.
do speak at Harvard Business School every year.
Yeah.
As a lecturer there. Love school, but you have the tools now to communicate, to actually build that community and build that bridge. Also,
That's right.
Like, let's say I didn't get a chance to go to Yale, right? Because I attended Harvard. I attended some other school, right?
Yeah.
But I you have something to share there. Like, you could be sharing that knowledge. You could be sharing that, what you have within you that makes you unique as a human being, as a professional, as well as a human being. Because your POV into whatever you're solving in a professional world is very different.
That's right.
No two doctors treat their patient the same way.
That's right.
They don't,
Yeah.
And I'm using doctors as an example. You could be a CEO of telecom,
Yeah.
And if you see the guy who's running T-Mobile runs it very differently than Sprint or AT&T or any of the other companies. It's just that everybody has their own flavor of doing things, and you could actually build a tribe based on your POV that's very unique, even though both of you may have gone to Yale.
That's right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You could have gone through the same schools,
Yeah, we always say your vibe attracts your tribe. If you're trying to reach everybody, you're going to reach nobody, right? And it's so important in today's world that, it's just so funny to me as a kid growing up. I spent a lot of time trying to just fit in. Right. As a kid, we were like, I just want to fit in. I just want friends. I just want to. But when you grow older, you're like, I just want to stand out. How do I stand out? Right. And that's the thing. Your personality as a leader, your leadership is different than the CEO of another company. But people subscribe to your leadership because you've demonstrated your values, your vision, your where you want to take the company, what your passions are, and you tie that into the human-to-human connectivity because you're not a cookie cutter, kind of like what I need to say, like my paragraph that's like this message that is super corporatized. It's like if you read my bio, it says I help people that put I help in their bios, and I'm helping people make a Gary Vaynerchuk amount of content online, right? To help them create a brand online. And that bio is not saying like, oh, I'm the this, that. Like, I'm like, no, I really want to connect to people on a human level and talk like they've been my friends forever. And funny enough, I get DMs literally like nearly every single day saying your bio is the best. I love your bio, and I just want to be in your network. How can we communicate to it? How can we just be part of this community together? So I'm like, wow, like that human connectivity actually helps you stand out as an executive and as a leader. Once you start sharing, like, hey, if I could just talk to you like I would talk to my colleague or my employee or staff, or you get to humanize your personal brand, executive brand, and you could actually increase the reach of your potential network. And your network is your net worth, by the way. And we all heard that before, right? But it's true. It's about who you know, not what you know, right? And it's the who that help build your impact and reach your human impact. And if you can just create less friction from people going onto your LinkedIn and being like, oh, this person's not active, or they're not, that is a friction piece that will create less connectivity. So if you want to increase more connectivity and reach and brand affiliation, right? You got to start thinking, how do I connect to people, human to human? And how do I showcase my executive leadership?
And how likely is it? I mean, this is a very obvious question, right?
Yeah.
How likely is it? Like, let's say if you are a VP or a director or even C-level, right? CMO.
Yeah.
At a specific industry, right? Let's say CPG, right? How likely is it that you will be solving problems that are kind of unique or different in telecom, for example?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's kind of a rhetorical question, right?
It is.
But the thing is, how likely is it? To me, I've never ever in my career have said I know everything.
No.
I don't.
Right.
Even whether I'm interviewing top talent like yourself, right,
Yeah.
or people asking me questions like on DM, they ask me
Right.
questions. Go like, wow, that's an incredible question. I didn't
Right.
even think about the question, let
Yeah.
alone now they're expecting me to give them an answer.
Right.
Now they're making me think about a solution that if I was in a CPG company, a C-level
Mhm.
executive there, I may not even have thought of that question at all.
Right. And
So
that is a great point to make because you're in the CC suite position because you are a problem solver, right? Because of your experience and your practicing, right? And the thing is like the guru mentality versus the guide mentality. A guru would be like, I know everything, I'm gonna give you all the answers, right? But a guide, that is the sweet executive, I believe. I believe the executives are guides in their company, in their leadership. They're not there necessarily knowing all the answers, but they are willing to do the work, right? They're willing to do the work because of the experience and the knowledge that they have, the skill set, and the way that they handle stress management too, by the way, is a huge important part and piece of leadership. And when you're positioned as a guide, like, hey, here's a problem. Well, let's come together and figure it out. And the C-suite leadership is bringing other people into the conversation that's on their team, right? So it's not just up to them to lead, or solve the problem. They have a team that's like, hey, I'm going to put all these players together on my team, and we're going to solve this problem together. And showcasing that practitioner part, right? The way they demonstrate leadership, the way they demonstrate how they solve problems, that is huge. That is huge in today's world. That is so valuable.
I mean, you have very talented leaders like there are several examples of it. I'll use one that's very popular right now,
Yeah.
right? Elon Musk versus Tesla, right? Tesla is the brand
Yeah.
versus Elon Musk,
Right.
and I don't remember seeing the last tweet or last post by Tesla, but I see plenty of content from Elon Musk.
Right.
And also the other example, I forgot the name of the person at T-Mobile, right?
John. Yeah.
John,
Yeah.
uh, John,
Legine.
yeah, something like that. I cannot pronounce
Yeah.
the last name.
He
I'm sorry,
tweets a
John.
lot.
Yep. So John versus T-Mobile,
Mhm.
right? What are your thoughts about that?
This is my thought, right? Corporations and companies are designed to make money, right? And a good friend of mine, Sasha, Sasha,
Yeah.
he had told me, he's like, John, man, companies are designed to be really narcissistic, right? It's funny because, like, if you look up the definition of narcissistic, is like, a company. We all know companies are designed to make money and to employ people and all that stuff. But once a company starts trying to humanize itself, it seems very much like a virtue signaling of, you know, um, we're doing something to impact the world, yes, but it makes more sense for the leadership to showcase, like, hey, this is what I think about every single day, and this is the company that I'm leading, right? So when I look at Elon Musk's Twitter account, he has a massive audience and massive value and affinity for his audience, and his audience is like, every single tweet is like, fire to them. They want to repost it. They call him the meme king, right? Because he just doesn't, his brand is super quirky. But if you saw Tesla putting stuff out like that, they couldn't do it. People just wouldn't retweet. They wouldn't respond to it very well as much as they would with Elon Musk because of his thought leadership, because of how he built the company, and they follow that leadership. They don't necessarily follow the company. You're going to have a lot of followers, like, for your company. Obviously, people want to see the latest things that you're working on, like Apple, right? There's a huge Apple event coming up on the 14th, and we're like trying to find the new, like, see what the new iPhone is all about. But mostly people like to follow people. People don't buy from a company, they buy from a person, right? People don't network with a corporation, they network with a person or a leader on the corporation, on the C-suite, or an employee. That is how today's world functions. The future of business is personal. This is why his Instagram, his Twitter, his everything's blowing up when it comes to executive leadership, executive branding, CEOs. When you put a CEO in the forefront and they leave their ivory tower, you start getting a lot of attention and engagement and seeing how they actually lead their company, because people have the buying power now. They're voting with their dollar. They're voting with, who do they want to affiliate with. And if they don't have, if a CEO, and on the flip side, if the CEO has a bad rep, no one's going to want to buy that product or purchase from that company, because the CEO isn't, the best representation of what they're trying to do. So, that affinity for the brand is going to decrease, right? But if you could bring a positive affinity to your brand by showcasing your leadership, actually engaging on social media, showing that you're a human being, that you actually have you have a family, you like going out, you got hobbies. How can people connect with you on a personal level, but also showcase just answering questions that people have? Like, that's one of the best ways to showcase your authority and leadership in the space, and the expertise that you have gathered over these years, and as an executive, right? Is answering questions, maybe tough questions that the industry that you're specifically in are having about, the future of business or products. Or even right now, the biggest topic that I'm seeing is the return to the workplace topic.
Oh, yeah.
Right? How do I return? How are companies leading the charge in returning to the workplace? What are they doing? So CEOs are either, getting negative, right? PR, or they're getting positive PR, and their businesses are actually skyrocketing because they are demonstrating their leadership in this new space. So that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, remote work right now is a gigantic topic throughout the world, not just the US.
Right.
There have been studies that are actually showing that employees are even more productive because they don't have to waste, what is it, on average it would be an hour each way to just get from home to work, and
Yes.
from work to home. And also, the other testament is like the savings accounts of people have gone up, because they're not buying breakfast, they're not buying lunch,
They're not
eating
eating
home
out.
cooked meal, whatever they
Yeah.
have at home.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like, if you are an executive or in the C-suite position, your conversations around how am I leading a team that is dealing with the hybrid workplace, and how do I help energize a team and help inspire a team to continue not to do the work, but bring out the best work that they can in this new world where we're trying to figure out the return to work, right? The return to the workplace situation, and what's really effective right now today. This is the greatest time of history where business leaders can actually leverage social media, LinkedIn, and digital on a free platform. By the way, they don't have to pay for this stuff; it's free, right? But they could showcase how they're leading the narrative when it comes to bringing their employees back to work, or providing a solution to help their employees' mental health, physical health, all these things that are challenging the world, the workforce in today's world, where we have now 5 generations under one roof, right? That is in the workforce. And it's like they can use and leverage their leadership and their platforms to share and really input some value into the narrative of the future of work.
There are many different types of leaders, right? I'll compare myself to Gary Vee, right?
Yeah.
And in one specific personality trait, right? And that has to do with being an extrovert or an introvert, right?
Yeah.
Gary can pick up a phone, turn it on, and start speaking, and it's gold, right?
Yeah.
To me, it requires a lot of work because I'm an introvert. I'm not an extrovert, and this is actually against my personality to be hosting a show like this.
Oh, you're doing a great job, Sabir.
Thank you. So, what's your message? I mean, what is your thought about helping? Because if you're an extrovert, your challenge would be your mind is too chaotic because you're thinking about too many things and you may not get anything done.
Right. Yeah.
The introvert, you're thinking too much about something and you're worried too much about being in front of a camera, in front of lights and microphone and stuff, or even writing, that to you, that exposes you. You feel like you're exposed and increases your anxiety.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
both sides could have their successes and failures, but how do you navigate those waters as an executive, especially if you're an introvert?
Absolutely. I love this question because I've worked with so many CEOs, founders, executives, even, keynote speakers and authors, right? That struggle with, Some of them are extroverts and they just go, and they're just like, they love being on camera, they love the attention. It's great, and sometimes that to a detriment. It's like, oh, like, what do they say? And it's on the internet, so it just exists forever, right? And then there's the other side, which is introverts, right? Where they really love writing, they love blogging, they love to read, they love, very one-on-one kind of type of communication tool. So my biggest advice when I'm talking to a lot of these leaders and executives is find what is your rhythm and flow. Find the thing that it's creating that self-awareness. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? I would even do I put our team has done like Enneagram tests and seeing like what type of personality tests we have. So have you done personality tests where you can actually see on paper, like, oh, this, I didn't know this about me, and then creating the less friction between you and creating content, because content, we always say one piece of content will change the trajectory of your business, right? One piece of content is going to change things. So whether you're an introvert and you like to write, how can you utilize that superpower, that writing superpower, or to your advantage? Maybe you want to write blogs, and one of our clients, they're a contributor to Forbes, right? But they're not on videos, but they deliver keynotes and all these other things. And finding the less friction for them to create content and distribute that content, because the biggest struggle that we see is not the personal branding side per se, but the content execution side. And you have to have a new relationship with what content looks like, because a lot of people are saying like, John, I'm not a video person. I don't even like being on Zoom calls. I don't like seeing myself on camera. But I can tell you right now, I love talking and being on audio one-on-one, right? So I'm like, okay, so you like talking audio one-on-one. What if we just got you on calls, right? And we just recorded the calls with you and your employees, your clients, or like these master classes that you like to put on every quarter. You want to find the quickest way, or the less friction path of less friction to create content, because you never know. You could turn all that stuff today in today's world. You can find someone on online that will turn your audio to a visual piece, and you could distribute that online, and that will showcase your leadership, right? So there's many different forms and ways to create content. You got to find what ways work best for you, and how do you leverage those ways that you're comfortable with, finding your flow of creating that and showcasing your leadership through that. And then the other stuff is just, you could solve those problems very, very quickly in today's digital tech world, right? People, your employees, you have an internal marketing team, media team. They could take your writings or articles and turn them into audio or video or visual, right? With like B-roll and stuff like that you could get royalty-free B-roll, and they just put voiceovers on. So there's lots of opportunities and ways to solve stuff. You just got to find your flow with content, and how you have to have self-awareness a little bit about how you like to deliver content, and then find the who or the how to get those things online.
One thing that you said in there that I want to pick on a little bit, yeah. Right? And as a great advice, I would say, getting to the right answer should be your goal, right? Not necessarily that you have the right answer, right? That mindset.
Journey to the right answer.
Journey to the right answer, meaning that if you do that personality test and you find out that you're an amazing writer, right? Okay, that's a good thesis. Let's start with writing. Let's do some basic posts. Let's do some small articles on Medium or LinkedIn or something like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or, maybe you're going to do it and it's not going to connect. But how often did you do it, right?
That's
the
right.
The answer shouldn't be that, I did this one massive article, 5,000 words.
That's right.
Why wasn't it 10 articles, 500 words, and it was a post?
It is the continuation of practice, right? It's about doing the work. And, you could even see on my hat here, like we champion the words, do the work, because, if you're following people, a lot of executives, they like following influencers online and like gurus and stuff. And they're all saying the same stuff. Hey, turn off social media and actually create something, right? That's what they're trying to do. And it's like, oh yeah, but that's just too, that's just too difficult. I don't know how to, so they get caught up in the how instead of just doing the work, and they find out like, oh, this is like, it's like going to the gym. It's like, building a muscle when it comes to creating content or creativity, right? It's all about starting. It's all about that journey. I love what you said, is the journey to getting to the right answers, right? And it's the journey piece. It's the practicing. It's the practice of the daily, like, okay, today I'm going to write. If you love to write, well, start writing, and it was so funny. One of my friends were like, what happens if you get like writer's block or content block? I'm like, okay, if you're a writer, right, what do? You write. Okay, so if you have writer's block, guess what you're going to do? Just keep on writing, right? You're going to write tons of garbage, like, essays and paragraphs and stuff. You're not going to have masterpieces all the time. It's so funny because Picasso, he's actually created over thousands of art pieces, but only a handful of them people would consider masterpieces. Isn't that funny, right? Like, those are just small, like, the way people place their value on things, it's like, oh, this is a masterpiece. It's like, well, he was the practicing part. He was just doing the work. He was just painting what he felt. And then people labeled masterpiece on his work, and was like, okay, like, I'm just an artist, right? I'm just a content creator. I'm just an executive leading a team into the future of what work is. And the work that we do is creating that human impact. Okay, cool. Continue to practice that and showcase that and write about it, do videos about it, record your team meetings and the things that you guys talk about internally, and you'll be surprised that muscle is going to get stronger and stronger. And one day you're going to show up on LinkedIn on live on Sabir's podcast talking about the work that you've been doing, right? So yeah, I hope that helps to bring some insight into how you could create content.
I mean, one way that I usually answer that question is, I said, go on YouTube and type in Gary V Wine Library episode 1. Episode 1.
Your first video is going to be your worst video, right?
Yeah. His dad comes into the room, shakes his head, go like, what the hell are you doing? The lighting is very bad. You can barely hear him. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? You have to start somewhere, right?
You got to.
You have to, and especially, I mean, he was working with old cameras. There were no iPhones at that time when he started, right?
Yeah.
But now you could actually put your iPhone on a nice camera, on a nice stand, and put a little light on top of it and stand close enough. It's going to pick up your voice. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need anything else.
You don't. It's so funny. I love that you said that, because a lot of times, just people in general, they get in the way of like, well, I need this. I need
the toolbox,
good lighting. I need the microphone. The toolbox. Exactly. I love that. By the way, I love that. You got to coin that, bro, for sure. But it's like, you don't even need to know how to edit. You could go live like we're on right now. And you could go from your iPhone, this device right here that you carry, in your hand every day, and you could just go live, answer some questions that are in your industry that people are asking. And guess what? People are going to look at you like, oh, like you're an authority in the space. I love the way you answered that question, and it's demonstrating your leadership through asking frequently asked questions, right? In the industry, like a lot of people have questions in this industry. Are you answering them? How are you answering them? Are you showing up, right, and solving problems? So I love that.
I mean, there are so many communities and forums and Reddits and subreddits and Quora and so many places. I mean, there are so many forums on LinkedIn and stuff like that.
Right.
Do you join within your industry? Do you join that group? And if somebody asks a question, are you jumping in and answering that question in a very intelligent way? Right.
Yeah.
That could be the answer. I mean, it doesn't matter that you're not coming up with original content. You're doing Q&A.
Right.
And then at the end of the month, if you have answered 10 questions, compile them. Yeah. This is the question. This was my response. Q&A. That becomes a Medium article. Push it out.
That's a great content strategy. I hope you're writing this down, audience. Those of you are viewing this right now, please write down that content strategy of, hey, pick 10 questions that are in your industry this week and write answers for them, or record a video on your phone and answer the questions that people are asking. Because guess what? If someone's asking that question, a lot of people are asking those questions. And if you have the insight and know how to answer those questions and bring a solution, that is content for you to make. And you know what? It's so funny because one of our clients was like, well, what do you think about Clubhouse? And I was like, it's great. It is so good. Go on Clubhouse, answer a few questions, get in those rooms. And guess what? When it's your turn to talk, or if you're leading it, push the record button on your phone and while you're answering the question, right? Because it's an authentic way to give your practitionership, your knowledge away, and help solve problems on a space that people are already asking. So find the things and niches in your space that really align with your brand and your company, and get in the communities. Be a part of the communities. Don't be scared to be like, well, what if I don't answer them right? If you got to train that muscle of having to solve problems. You already do it, and because you're a C-suite, executive and leader. So why don't you just add a little bit throughout the week, and spread that knowledge a little bit, and answer some questions in the community, because I'm telling you, one piece of content away from changing the trajectory of your business, of your executive brand, it's going to change your life.
And here's my thought, John, also. If you're a leader in an industry, right, a C-level executive, VP, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
If there is no information or bad information online about your industry, I think that it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to turn that thing around.
1,000%.
Don't stand there on the sidelines and complain that there is bad information, bad data, bad this, bad that.
Be the change in that industry.
Because of change. It's your fault that bad information is out there. Like, you should actually overcome that by publishing the right information.
If you see bad information or disinformation about something that is in your expertise, in your leadership, in your industry, it is your sole responsibility to go and say, hey, this is wrong. I know this is a popular opinion, but let me tell you why, this isn't the best solution, or this is probably not why this is wrong, right? So it is your responsibility, because you are a leader. That's it, right? Because you have the expertise. If you're not in an executive position because you randomly stumbled upon, or you made like a fake resume and you're now, no, there's a reason that you're in your position, regardless of what company or agency that you're part of. Right. And it is one of your sole responsibilities as a leader, as an executive, as a C-suite, to answer these questions and to bring the right information. Right. And to say, hey, that's an alternative, but let me tell you what's worked for us in our company and what's worked for me. Right. Because once you share that perspective, you're giving to the world. You're living this generous lifestyle where you're actually like, hey, let me just share with you our experience in this space, and one of the companies that are thriving and just really doing good in today's world, in this post-pandemic world, is the ones that are sharing the things that they've tried and practiced and failed over and over and over again to get to a result that is now working for their company. And they've been able to share that information with the world, and the world is getting something from their experience, whether it's, it's a failed experience or a successful one. They were able to share their insight and test and did all these things to practice what the solutions were. So the whole coming back to the workplace, man, people are testing things and trying things. And if you could just share that online and solve some problems, your business is going to just explode, and people are going to be curious enough to want to continue to follow you and listen to what you're doing with your company, and they're going to want to be part of your tribe because they love the way you lead your team.
And if you have any doubts, remember, one of the best shows on TV had to do with The Office.
That's right. I love that. By the way, we're avid Office watchers in our family, and that's one of our favorite shows. And it's just like, Michael Scott moments, like.
No, I mean, some of the things that they talk about it is comedy, right? So they exaggerate some parts of it. Sure. But what I can tell you is you always come across, and there's a reason why I'm bringing it up here right now.
Yeah.
You come across the types of people who are like Jim, who are like Dwight, Yeah. And you always come across people like that in a working organization.
It's true. Yeah.
For the least, you could, there are some, I'm forgetting their screen names right now, their social handles, that folks produce content that has to do with their profession specifically, and the types of things that happen to them in a work day. Yeah. And to them, that's how they're sharing their their life, their
Yeah,
professional life with their audience, right? It
absolutely.
doesn't mean that they're pushing the company that they work with. Like,
No.
the HR person from Pepsi is not sharing that, oh, this happens to me at Pepsi, but this is what happens in the world of HR, for example,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and
So that's
yeah, broaden the stroke a little bit about like, hey, this is what happens in the world of HR. And here's the thing, like people, it's an attention thing, right? Like people, how are you? Storytelling is such a powerful thing, and we have stories every single day that happens in our companies, right? And it's like, how do you, are you creating avenues to share those stories, to create relatability, to create human to human connection, and feel that the reason why The Office is one of the biggest shows in the world is not necessarily the relatable part, because all these people are characters, but people know someone in their life that has those relatable traits of
yeah.
those characters. And they literally, I was talking to my wife, I was like, oh, that person reminds me of Michael Scott, or that person, right? It's like that person's a Dwight. Like I start naming people, but the relatability part is something that we should continue to strive and achieve, because we're designed that way. Human to human connectivity, we're designed to communicate, we're designed to share moments and share stories and all that is how we are designed as a community, as a culture, right? And it's the stories that drive that connectivity, and stories that will increase the brand reputation and the affinity that people have for your brand because of storytelling, right? And you could even look at the hugest and largest companies. Documentaries for companies are huge, and people want to just see the behind the scenes stuff. It's so funny that I'm a huge Marvel fan, and like a super geek, DC Comics and all that stuff, if you know me personally. And the thing I love more, I don't watch the Marvel movies and cinematic storytelling as much as I do the behind the scenes and like the TikToks and the reels of the celebrity, or the characters behind the scenes and how they made the movie. I think that gets more views than the actual film itself. If they could monetize the way that the behind the scenes work, I'm sure people, they make so much more money than the actual film, because people want to see behind the curtain. They want to see like, oh, that person's a real human being, or that person's that's how they got that shot. That's how they directed it. They want to see behind the scenes. So are you, as an executive, showing people, not necessarily like have to show them everything or behind the scenes for everything, because a lot of times you got to, you got NDAs, you're working with company policies and stuff like that. But are you sharing stories that are relatable, that really demonstrate your leadership, or just maybe is really funny, right? Because people love value, entertainment, and comedy, right?
Mhm.
And those are the biggest topics online that gets the most views and gets attention. And are you continuing to do that with your brand, or your on your social media?
So, John, what are like, let's say I'm an executive, I've not done anything on social, right? I'm just building up the scenario for you.
Yeah,
I've not done anything on social except for, somebody told me LinkedIn was important. So I set up my profile. It just says I'm the president of this XYZ company,
yeah,
or VP. I've been working there for 23 years. I've not posted anything. Even my profile is not complete on LinkedIn,
yeah.
let alone I don't have a Twitter, I don't have LinkedIn, Instagram, or anything.
Okay.
What are the 5 things I should be doing in the bottom 4 months of 2021, and definitely scale it up in 2022? What's the 5 things that you would like get me off my butt? I want to go and do this.
Number one, go follow Sabir on LinkedIn.
And John,
And yeah, follow us too, or go to our website, whatever you want to do. But just watch how people show up online would be my first, my first number one answer is watch how people show up. What are they talking about in your industry? Follow your colleagues and leaders that are in this industry. Follow their LinkedIn and see how they respond to the community. See what they post. See what they share. Right? If that was like my number one thing to do, I would just be like, just take a moment and look what your friends are posting and what people are posting on the industry. Secondly, I would revamp your whole profile page. Is it clear, or can people go to your page and be like, oh, this is who that person is, this is what they do, right? And is it clear? Is it a clear message? Are you sharing a little bit about yourself on your page? Because again, I would really think about your first impression when you meet a new client that you're about to do business with. Is your first impression like okay, let's just do business? Or is it a relationship that you're trying to build and you're trying to, share a little bit about yourself? You're trying to understand a little bit about them and the problem that they're trying to solve, right? Those are the best relationships, when you could just listen to people. But when people go on your LinkedIn, I would focus really on like, what are you showing people to the world? Like, what is your digital handshake? What is that first impression like when people go to your page? And then I would just start figuring out, number three, I would just start figuring out who's telling my story. Is it my employees? Is it my friends? Is it my colleagues? Is it my leadership team? Or like, who's telling my story? How can I add them? How can I showcase what they're doing? How can I start having conversations with them online, right? Tagging them, posting photos. Like, maybe do you have special events that that's happening in your company? I'll start getting engaged, because social media, that first part's really important, right? Social. That's the whole point of social media, is how do you create social? It is a tool, right? It shouldn't be a strategy. It's a tool that you can use to communicate to people that are part of your community, right? You're not trying to reach everybody. I really want you to hone in on the people that you actually care about, the people that are in your industry, the people that you could learn from, and the people that you can teach, right? So that's number three, is who's who's telling your story, right? Number four would just be just trying to repost stuff. If you see other people in the industry that you follow, repost their articles, repost something, because creating that like telling the world like, hey, I'm here, goes a long way. It goes a really long way, just saying like, hey, by the way, like, I'm here. I'm not just, I'm not like a ninja on LinkedIn where you don't know if I'm here or not. You actually want to show that you want to show up, right? So you want to create engagement. You want to help, tell people that are in your industry, like, hey, my account's alive and I'm sharing stuff, I'm posting stuff. And then lastly, I would love for you to sit down and build a content strategy. Like, what is your content strategy? How are you going to show up this week? And you don't have to actually spend throughout the day figuring out like, oh, I didn't post on LinkedIn today, so I got to post something, right? That's a terrible strategy, by the way. What you want to do is actually spend a little time, probably like 30 minutes or less, and be like, all right, what am I going to post this week? What am I going to post on Monday? What am I going to post on Tuesday, Wednesday? I would take out a sheet of paper or your notes and just put 5 days, like 5 little things on that sheet of paper, and say, all right, this is the content I'm posting today. This is what I'm posting on Tuesday, Wednesday. So you have it queued up, and then guess what? You just go post it, right? You just go post it, set up a time, set up a cadence, because that's going to build that creative muscle and that content muscle. And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised who's going to show up on your page and who's going to start responding and engaging with your content. You're going to be really surprised. And then come back to us and Sabir and myself in about, a month, and be like, hey, this has been working. I need a better strategy. How can we hire you guys, right?
Just based on those, based on that advice, one thing I would want to pick your brain on.
Yeah.
Should I hire my nephew to post on my social?
I mean, like, hey, like, if your nephew understands your vibe and understands your tribe, why not, right? But the thing is, like, with content, you could train people. People can be trained, right? As long as you have clarity, you have a vision where you want to take your social media, you have a content strategy. It's really hard to mess that up. You could have your nephew, right? You could have someone like, summer job, winter job, whatever, just be like, hey, here's, 5 hours a week. I would just love for you to post this type of content, and this is all you got to do. It's having that clarity and communicating what you're trying to accomplish at the end of it, right? So you could literally farm that out, or hire a nephew, hire a VA, hire someone that's already on your team, and be like, hey, by the way, media person on our team, I would love to add, these 5 posts to your to-do list this week, right? And then just give them access and see what happens, because it's the journey of getting things to the right. Like, eventually you want to be like, okay, I'm going to hire an agency to actually run my whole thing. And before you get there, you really want to test things out. And we use this word almost every day in our company called TLA. That means test, learn, and adapt, right? So we say TLA every day. Test, learn, adapt your content, test it out, right? And then if you want to hire your nephew, that might be the first phase. Look at we come from the Vaynerchuk University of hard knocks, right? So we learn like the people that he actually hired in the very beginning were the people that he had chemistry with. It was like his brother.
I can attest to it.
You could,
I was
right?
sharing office with him when he had only 5 employees.
5 employees, and they were
They were his brother, uh, 3 of his brother's friends, and 1 of his friends. I think like that was it. That was 5 people.
And look what he built, right? So if you're just starting out and you're building your brand, hire the closest people to you, or just have proximity with people and be like, this is my vision, this is where I want to go. And you'll be surprised who's going to want to get on board with you because you're doing something that is impacting the world.
No, but John, my point of making that statement was because some executives might think that it's kind of beneath them or whatever, and then like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna just Jimmy is gonna be helping me. He's my nephew. He knows his ways around his smartphone, so he's gonna be posting, he's gonna be doing those things for me. But you're not really giving it a due chance, a proper chance for you to actually succeed, because this is your brand.
If you care about your customers and your business and your company, you will put the work in it, because it's not something you could just farm out, by the way, because you want to be able to connect to people. The only way you could do that, you can't farm that out to little Jimmy and then like him bring you the daily insights and be like, all right, well, Steve from this company did this. You want to be a participator in the community of your industry and your field.
I mean, you could text it to him and he can take it, and he knows the mechanics of how to post on Instagram with hashtags and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine, but not the actual content.
The content part is going to accelerate your brand and your experience and your expertise, because you are so connected. You're so deeply connected to the audience and the relationship that you have to solving their problem. You're in proximity. And then, let little Jimmy publish it. Be like, hey, I want these posted like once a day at these times. But when it comes to content, you can't farm that out. You just can't farm out thought leadership. Right. There's no AI button out there for thought leadership. And I mean, it's developing, by the way, but
I've seen those. Yeah,
I've seen them too. And the thing is, like, there's nothing that could compete with human interaction, human connectivity, human thought leadership, because AI hasn't gone through the 25 years of experience that you have in this industry. Right?
Exactly.
Only you have that personal touch, that personal experience where you can solve problems in unique ways. Like, we've been designed to have this imagination and process and thinking. Like, that's something that can never replace the human connectivity or human aspect of who we are, right? As people, as leaders in the C-suite, executive suite, right? No one could replace that, right? So you want to definitely be the ones creating the content yourself. And then if you need help with copywriting, you could have someone come and clean it up, right? But essentially the thought is there, right? So if you could continue that,
thought leadership is your responsibility.
That's your responsibility, right? Yeah. And then it's the other writers that will make it pretty and stuff.
I mean, I'm going to just share this thought, and then I'm going to ask you the most important question of the show. Right, of the episode.
Absolutely.
One thing, there's always a fear that what am I going to write about? Am I going to have enough content? Right. There are so many tools now. If this was 1984, it's a different story. But in 2021, for the least, you can just fire up Google.com. Just type in your industry keywords. Don't hit enter yet. It will autocomplete and show you what are the best questions people are asking. Yeah. That's the cheapest free tool that's available to you. And there are so many other tools out there that can give you exactly what's trending. Google Trends can tell you like what's trending and how people are asked questions. If you're in an industry, there's always an industry event that's going on. Yes. Talk about what the event is about and if you're going to be attending it and stuff like that. Yeah, there's always ways to every 5 days a week, 7 days a week, twice a day. You could be posting really, really good content every single day.
There's no lack of content to be made because of the world that we live in today. And even beyond Google, ask somebody that you know and be like, hey, do you have like what's one of your questions about what we do here? right? You can ask your employee, ask one of your colleagues, ask one of your other C-suite executives, right? They're the closest to proximity. Be like, you know what? I've been wondering this one question. Can you answer that for me, right? I mean, yes, Google, absolutely. There's other platforms too, like answerthepublic.com, and
Oh
you
yeah.
can even go to YouTube and type in top 5 questions of your industry and see how people are responding. You know, there's so many ways to create valuable content today. You don't have it's just endless, literally infinity questions about the work that you do and how you could answer those things. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. So, John, thank you for being part of this show. And now this is my number one question, right?
Yeah.
What is your number one $100,000 expert insight into executive branding? If I'm an executive, what should I take away as the number one reason for my executive branding, and what practical thing can I do right away?
Yeah. I feel like the answer has just been on screen the whole conversation. And my number one thing is to do the work. Just do the work. What does that mean? It's like when you start doing the work, when you start asking the questions, when you start answering questions, you're going to have new questions that will come up and new ways to create content and new ways to communicate your thought leadership in your space. Once you start doing the work, more opportunities start flooding and start becoming available to you, and opportunities that you never thought would ever happen. People will start reaching out to you and saying, hey, my name's Sabir. I would love to have you on my podcast. Right. So like once you start actually activating your superpower of doing the work, the endless opportunities that the world will give and provide is just endless. And it's overwhelming sometimes. And instead of like just sitting and listening, you want to create more than you consume. You want to create more than you consume. So when you're consuming, like, oh man, I follow these people and they just do so, I listen to their podcast every single day. You need to reverse that and be like, hey, how can I do a podcast? Even if it's 5 minutes every day, 10 minutes every day, answering all the top questions in my industry. That right there, because you're doing the work, you're going to learn and adapt and test all the things that's available to you, and opportunities are going to grow and become available to you.
John, thank you for being on the show. Thank you, audience, for tuning in.
Thanks,
And definitely, audience, if you would go to YouTube or wherever you're consuming this content, you should see all of the episodes that we've had so far. If you are the reader type, every episode comes with a 5,000 word article that goes with it. And we're going to do the same with John, because we had a ton of knowledge that you dropped here, John, that's going to be really valuable for everybody.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.